Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Photo Video Entrepreneurs. Today I'm going to be meeting up with Greg in the office today. We're going to be going over wedding schedules and timelines. I'm going to show you guys how we create a whole wedding schedule for both photography and videography. Hey, what's going on, man? I'm giving you a call. Wanted to see if you wanted to stop by the office today. We're going to be working on some wedding schedules.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. I'll be right there.
All right. See you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Later.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
All right, so today we're gonna be creating a whole wedding schedule. I have Greg here. We're gonna be putting together a wedding timeline. We wanna share with you guys why it's so important to create a wedding schedule and kind of help structure the actual wedding day. So one of the reasons that it's so important to create a wedding schedule is because we wanna make sure that we allocate enough time for certain parts of the day, whether it's bride preparation, groom preparation, for their actual portraits, if they're doing a first look, if they're doing family portraits, all of that. We wanna make sure that we have enough time, sometimes actually a little bit of a cushion time, instead of having very little time where the bride may be feeling rushed or the groom may be feeling rushed, and that'll actually affect, you know, their mood on the day. So we want to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. So for this specific schedule, I'm going to create a timeline. We're arriving at 7 a.m. She's going to be doing makeup for this wedding, so she'll take care of that portion of the day, and then we'll get there. I'll do all of the bride and detail preparation. So we have that here. Then from 8 to 9 a.m. 2 girls are going to be getting their makeup done. From 9 to 10 a.m., 2 more girls are going to be getting their makeup done. From 10 to 11 a.m., we have 2 more girls getting their makeup done, right here. Then from 11 to 12 p.m., we have 2 more girls getting their makeup done. These are the last 2 before the bride. From 12:30 to 1:30, that's the time that I'm going to actually go do groom prep. Thankfully for this specific wedding, the groom is getting ready in the same hotel, so that works perfectly. I basically just have to go up a floor or down a floor. I'm gonna go to the groom by myself. I'll get pictures of his details. I'll get pictures of him hanging out with the guys. I'll do his solo groom portraits. Usually during that time, Andrea is with the girls. If Andrea is not doing makeup, then she's just photographing some candid moments. Then when I come back from the groom, I always make sure that I'm back by the time that the bride has to start getting into her dress. So from 12 to 1:30 will be the bride's actual makeup, and once she has her makeup and her hair done, we always allocate 30 minutes for her to get into her dress. So from 1:30 to 2 o'clock, we added a little bit of cushion time for Andrea to pick up her makeup and then head to the venue. And what helps putting these schedules together is obviously talking with your bride and your groom before the wedding day, making sure that you communicate with them, making sure that you educate them. This is their first wedding, and this is our over 100th wedding. So we want to make sure that they understand that, you know, we know what they're doing, and we want to create a schedule that benefits them, makes them feel more relaxed, but at the same time also benefits the photography and the videography.
If you don't agree with something that the bride is putting together, figure out a way to express it in a kind way and explain to her, educate to her why it'd be more beneficial. Listen, you know, I know you want to get dressed at the venue, but you know, we've been to this venue, maybe the lighting is not so good here, it's gonna cut into too much time. You know, if you got dressed at the hotel, I know it's not your ideal location, but you'll have a lot more time to get more content that way, and you'll give yourself more time to do bridal party photos, just have more time for other things throughout the day. So if that works better for you, explain that to them and educate them, and 9 out of 10 times they'll agree.
For this wedding, because it was walking distance from the hotel to the venue, we allocated 15 minutes for that, just to make sure that we can round everyone up and head over to the venue. So we got to the venue by 2:15. Then we scheduled 30 minutes of time for the bride to get into her physical dress. And the reason we have 30 minutes is because it really depends on the dress. So if she has a corset, or if she has a zipper or buttons or whatever it is, we want to make sure that we have enough time for her to get into the physical dress. Once she's covered, then we'll come in and we'll get like the close-up shot of the corset being tied or the zipper or whatever it is. Then from 3 to 3:30 is going to be our bride's solo portraits. We personally love to allocate 30 minutes of solo bride portraits. This is an opportunity for us to photograph our bride, get some really beautiful beauty shots of her. But 30 minutes also allows us to schedule time just in case the videographer needs to do anything. Specifically if the bride is going to be doing a note reading or a gift opening or something like that.
Yeah, those are huge shots too. Her bridal portraits, like those are portfolio piece shots. And the more time you can allot for that, the more creative you can get. And that's really a great way to stand out amongst your competition, because you can really make her look beautiful if you're not rushing that moment.
So after the solo bride portraits, then we'll get ready to go do the first look. So from 3:30 to 4 o'clock, we're allocating 30 minutes for the first look. Although the first look doesn't take 30 minutes, sometimes it only takes like 5 minutes. I mean, literally the bride and the groom will walk up to each other, or she'll walk up to him, or he'll walk up to her. They'll turn around, they'll see each other for the first time, they'll hug, they'll kiss. But if anything needs to be reshot for whatever reason, if we need to position them in a certain area, we want to make sure that there's enough time for the bride to walk over to the groom, then 30 minutes is a good amount of time for that. Then after the first look, we immediately go into bride and groom portraits. Every wedding is a little bit different because what determines this is obviously the sunset, where the lighting is, where we're going to be doing it. This is the time that we're going to take just pictures of our bride and our groom together. And we always like to allocate an hour for this. The more time that we have, and because we're creating these schedules, we can control that to a sense, then the more creative that we can get and the more beautiful shots that we can get for our bride and our groom. So after the bride and groom portraits, we have from 5 to 5:30 is going to be the bridal party shots. The bridal party shots are very, very important too, because depending on how big of a bridal party they are, what type of personalities they have, it can take a lot of time. So if you have a bridal party that is a group of 24 in total, it could take 1 hour to get everyone together to do their individual portraits and stuff like that. And following the bridal party pictures, we have from 5:30 to 6 o'clock, we're going to do the immediate family portraits. Now the immediate family can include parents, siblings, grandparents, and we usually try to do those closer to the end of all of the pictures, because you have older people that you're going to be working with. Sometimes they take a little bit longer to get ready and move them around.
And now it's 5:30 in the evening, so Richard was keeping an eye on what time the sun is setting, so that's something that you want to consider too when making these timelines. You could run into issues towards the end of the day, and then in the morning time, sometimes you can get there too early where you have no light, and then you wasted time because you can't shoot yet. So
yeah,
you have to think about that stuff.
We're done with family portraits now, and now we have 6 to 6:30 is a refresh period. This is what I was talking to you about earlier. So we always try to allocate 30 minutes of time before the ceremony starts for two specific reasons. One is because the bride and the groom will usually put in the invitation for the guests to arrive 30 minutes before the ceremony starts. So we don't want anyone to see our bride and the groom before the ceremony. Secondly, this is a good opportunity for the bride to kind of calm down, relax a little bit. If she needs a touch up for makeup, Andrea can do that during this time. If Greg needs to get any of his camera equipment or batteries, or the same for us, if we need to replace anything, we usually do it during this time as well. Then from 6:30 to 7, this is a very short ceremony. From 7 to 8 is the cocktail. I specifically put into this schedule sunset photos, cocktail and detail photos. And the reason I did that is because during this time the sun is supposed to be setting. So if we can get some beautiful portraits of our bride and groom in that lighting scenario, then we'll try that as well. If not, then we already did a good amount of bride and groom portraits, so we're okay. So we'll go straight into cocktail hour. We'll do some cocktail pictures, we'll do some candids of the guests mingling around the cocktail room, and then Andrea and I will go in and do all of the detail photos throughout the entire reception. And then from 8 to 12 a.m. in this specific wedding is going to be the introductions, the dances, the toast, and the party. We don't get into too much detail during this part of the wedding because we're there for the entire time. So we're always keeping an eye, we're always alert of what's going on, and we're always following our bride and our groom. If there's something special going on, if there's like some sort of performance or a surprise for somebody or something like that, then that we will ask for them to provide us with that information. Then another very important part of the schedule is to make sure that we put the locations. So for this specific wedding, there was 2 locations where they were getting ready earlier in the day, and then we have the actual venue. Some weddings have more locations. They have, like, you know, the bride is getting ready in one house, the groom is getting ready in another house, the ceremony is happening at a church, the pictures are happening at a park, and then we have the venue. So that's 5 different locations. So we want to make sure that we put the address in our schedule, because we share the schedule with some of the vendors, we share it with our bride, she sends it to her bridal party, and we want to make sure that everyone has the correct address of where to go.
And put the addresses in Google Maps before the wedding and verify the distances and the times. Don't do it the day of.
And then the last part of our schedule is just some notes. In here we put some instruction for our bride to make sure that she has all of her details with her. If there's anything special that she wants us to photograph, if there's any specific family members or anything else that's meaningful, we'll write it here just so that we can keep track of it and so that she can keep track of it as well. So this pretty much covers our version of the schedule. Greg's gonna go over his version of the schedule now too, and kind of go into more description there.
So now we're going to talk about the video portion of things. For the most part, it's very similar to photography, but there are a few things that are different. So for us, we provide full day coverage. We don't limit our couples to time. And what we like to do is we like to arrive usually before the photographer. It's different if we're working with Richard and Andrea, but in this case, we're arriving at 8 a.m., which is usually well before the photographer arrives. And for us, that's awesome because that gives me 2 hours to shoot all of the details. And with video, it always takes longer setup times than photography does. So that way I feel like I'm not rushed. Like I could take my time. I could try different looks with the dress. I could eat a bagel when I'm done. Everything is great. So from 8 to 10, I'm shooting details, and Deirdre will assist me, and she'll be there just in case any moments happen. So from 8 to 10, that's what I'll be doing. 10 a.m., I'll leave for Groom Prep, and it's at the same location here at the Park Savoy. So once I leave for Groom Prep, Deirdre will stay with the girls to capture whatever happens there, and then I'll give myself an hour to shoot Groom Prep. Once I'm done, it'll be 11 o'clock. Usually right when I get back, the bride will be just finished with her makeup, and we'll do her note read. If she's doing a note and a gift, we'll do note gift. And then after that, it's usually she needs to get into her dress like right then and there.
It's very important for you as a videographer to allocate enough time so that you can mic up your bride, set up your equipment, because these are very important shots. You know, you're getting a bride who's opening a gift, who's reading a note that can be very, very emotional. So this adds a lot of good content to your video.
It's common that photography is a little more prioritized during the day. And it's common in a lot of situations where, as a videographer, especially if you're new and you're first starting out, you're gonna feel like you just kind of have to follow along with what's happening. You're there too, your job is important too, and if you need something done, don't be afraid to vocalize it and say what you need, because you are just as important during the day as the photographer. In this case, they're doing their ceremony at a church, so we wanna make sure that we don't waste too much time after the first look. We wanna make sure that we figure out how long it's gonna take to get to the venue to the church, in this case 20 minutes. So we're gonna leave at 1:30 to get to the church at 1:50. So that means that we'll have 40 minutes to set up for the ceremony. And usually I feel like that's a good amount of time. You need to mic the officiant, you need to mic the groom, and then you should also put like a backup recorder or microphone on the altar or the podium where someone's speaking, so that way all bases are covered. They're gonna do pictures at a park. So the park's like 5 minutes away, so you wanna allocate a little bit of time for that. So from 4:10 to 4:45, we'll do pictures. Usually, you know, if we're working with Richard's doing all the portraits of the bridal part of your family. You wanna respect the photographer's time and make sure that they have time to do all those different portraits. But for video, I think it's good to also record that as well, because you can get a lot of nice camaraderie shots in between photos. You wanna make sure that you allotted a little bit of time, as much as you can, to work with just the bride and the groom by themselves. Deirdre and I, for us, like, just as long as we can have 15 solid minutes with the bride and groom, I can get what I need. Usually I like to get between like 4 to 7 shots of the bride and the groom by themselves, and those are gonna be my biggest shots of the day. So make sure that you're aware of the time, make sure you're aware of the sun, and depending on who you're working with, you know, some photographers could be a little bit more pushy than others, so make sure you stand your ground and get what you need as well. I'm not trying to trash the photographers, by the way, but it happens. Cocktail hour, we'll be getting set up for the reception. So we light the dance floor with our LED lights that we use for just the formality moments. So we're setting up lights, we're tapping into the DJ soundboard. We use an RCA cable or a 1/4-inch cable. That's linked in the description, and you guys can comment, ask questions about that if you'd like. So we'll get a direct feed into the DJ's board, so everything that's spoken into a microphone throughout the entire night sounds nice and clear. And then after that, it's basically just capturing whatever moments take place. There's really nothing too complicated from this point forward.
For photography and for videography, I feel like the best shots usually come within the last hour to 2 hours of the reception. The guests have had a lot to drink already. They're kind of going a little crazy. We get some really fun close-up action party shots. And I think that that adds a lot of value too for both photography and videography because, you know, as a groom myself, someone who got married, I really cherish those moments of looking back at my bridal party, at my family and my friends really having a good time.
Yeah, and if you do stay to the end of the wedding, the fact that you were there and you stayed the entire day, they're gonna remember that, and they are gonna be the first to recommend you to their friends, their other bridal party members that are getting married, and that's how your word of mouth really generates. So I know it's a long day. Sometimes we work 16 hours, but going that extra mile, it really does generate word of mouth. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, it makes a world of a difference, especially in your business.
Yeah, and then just some quick little notes. You know, now the drone laws are much more strict, so you always want to put in where you're going to be flying. If you fly with DJI, there's an app. I'll put that on the screen somewhere. You can put in your location in the app, and then you can see if you're in a no-fly zone. So sometimes you can put in a request and they'll grant you access, but you always want to do that before the wedding. Is there parking at the ceremony? Always check that out. Are they gonna be moving during the ceremony? Do I need to anticipate them giving a flower to their parents or giving flowers to Mary across the other side of the church when I'm set up on a tripod? How many bridesmaids and groomsmen? And then I take down 2 important contacts from the bridesmaids and then 2 important contacts from the groomsmen. So that way, if God forbid, I wind up at a totally different location from the bridal party, I have 4 people that I can call that will most likely have their phones on them to tell me where they are. Who's the DJ? If you want to contact the DJ, you can, just to make sure that there's not going to be any hiccups on your day. And then just some names of the bridal party.
We personally send out a whole wedding questionnaire to kind of get this information from our bride and the groom, and we print that out separate, which we carry on us. But, you know, I think I'm going to steal this from you, man.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, and then the last thing, too, I always put on here, because I never want to forget to tell the bride and groom, I always put, it says makeup, clean room, /window, /high chair. So make sure that like the room is not atrocious, because a lot of the time it is. It's crucial that they're positioned close to a window, facing a window. That will completely change your entire film. If you can get a few really good shots of the bride's makeup next to a window, just try it. If you haven't done it, try it. You'll be amazed at what your shots look like.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the like if you found this video useful. If any of the tips that we gave you, you can apply. Drop some comments below. We would love to hear how it helped you. If you have any questions or concerns, also drop some comments below. We'll create some new episodes with new content for you.
Take care, guys. We'll see you in the next video.
All right.